Hello again, Internet. Welcome to part 2 on my discussion about Universal. What I'm going to do is, in this video, is try to talk to you a little about the specifics of all the different rides. Let's talk about like order of parks. If you're doing Harry Potter, I would advise you to start in Universal. My Harry Potter, I read Harry Potter like years ago, so I don't know all the names of the things, so I apologize. But if you go to Universal, you end up in Diagon Alley first, and then you take, my advice would be to take the train then over to Island of Adventure after you're done in Diagon Alley. And the train, actually, it's like a simulated trip where you go to Hogwarts. So I think it only works in that direction. I think if you go the other direction, it'll be like, oh, we're leaving Hogwarts. It's not as exciting. So I highly recommend going from Universal to Island of Adventure, specifically so you can ride that train. If you don't care about riding that train or Harry Potter, then obviously pick any park first. It doesn't really matter. Well, maybe it does in your world, but not in mine. So yeah. So I'm going to start talking about Universal Studios. We did not ride every ride, but I will try to go over some of the things that we did do. And I'm just going to look at the map and try to remember things. Oh, the map. By the way, these maps they give you, not that great. I mean, they're okay, but they could be a lot better. Okay, so let's talk about this roller coaster, which is like the biggest thing, the physically biggest thing in the park. It's called the Rock and Roll roller coaster. I ended up riding it twice. We all actually rode it twice. And it actually is an okay roller. Like, I used to be really into roller coasters. Like, literally, I would like drive across the country to try to like ride different roller coasters. This one's like all right, but it's totally worth doing. Let's just put it that way. One of the cool things about this roller coaster is they like lock you in, and while you're getting ready to take off, you get to like, there's like a little mini iPad-y kind of thing, and you get to literally pick the song that you're going to listen to. So I did Born to Be Wild, which is like amazing because they have these two speakers like right by your ears. And so it's like, get your motor run, you know, as you're going up, and then it like peaks like right when you go over, and you're like, oh, this is amazing, Born to Be, and you're like, pretty intense. So that's fun. The roller coaster itself is kind of fun. There's some really neat spots. Like the beginning is probably the coolest spot because you're literally going, well, it feels like you're going straight up vertical. So you're like going up this tube, and then you go over, and then you go around and stuff. Here's my advice about that. The first time I rode it, I was in the back. There's two cars. Let's go like that. I think 3 or 4 rows. No, 3 rows in each, maybe 4 rows. I don't remember. The first time I rode, I was in the back car, and my head was getting jostled around so much that by the time the ride was over, I was like, I hated that ride. I will never ride that again. And then my daughter talked my girlfriend into going because my daughter had not gone. She was like, I want to go. Which, by the way, she's 9 years old. She's kind of small, and she actually just made the height requirement, and she loved it. So if you have a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old, they will dig it. At least, I don't know if they're like my daughter. Anyway, so she rode, and she rode in the second row of the first car, and she said, oh, I didn't get any head bobbing going on, and it was like super smooth. So my advice is to at least ride in the front of those 2 cars. And then the second time I went, I specifically, they tried to put me in the back thing again. I was like, listen, I didn't like the ride last time in the back. Would it be possible for me to sort of ride in the front? She's like, sure. And so she actually let me wait until like that car left. And then we got to go into the first row of the first car the second time around. So 2 things to learn from that. Well, I don't know how many things to learn from that, but definitely it seems that you can ask them, hey, I'd like to ride in the front. They'll just sort of put you over on the side, wait for the car to go by, and let you go in the front. So that was really nice of them. So try to do that because, you know, obviously if you know anything about roller coasters, riding in the front is the best. And let me tell you about this roller coaster, riding in the front is amazing. It's like so much better than anywhere else. And I only rode in one other spot, but still, I can only imagine. Because when you're going up that first thing, you're literally like not looking at somebody's head. You're like looking like, oh, you know, just me. And then, um, so yeah, right in the front. That's all I want to say about that roller coaster. It's totally worth riding, whatever. There's another roller coaster. It's an indoor roller coaster. It's called the Mummy. That was actually a pretty cool ride. One thing though, they make you like use these lockers, and they probably do the same thing for the Rock and Roller Coaster, but I didn't notice it. But they won't let you like wear like a fanny pack or like almost anything. So use the lockers; they're free. Oh my God, I forgot one thing. I'm sorry to diverge from what I was just saying. But when you get the Easy Pass or the Fast Pass or your ticket, whatever, they give it to you as this. This is like ridiculous, and I think they do this on purpose. They give you this. This is it. This is like it's like a piece of paper, cardboard, basically, and this is your ticket. You lose this, you're screwed. And for the Unlimited Express Pass, when you do it, like they have to like beep you, so they have to see the ticket and they like beep it. So they sell. I think this is why they do this on purpose. They sell you these stupid, lanyards for $10 to keep your pass in, which you pretty much have to have, I think. So they sort of jam you for like $10 there. If you buy a Harry Potter one, it's $12. But anyway, sorry, where was I? Oh yeah, so if you have this, you can use it for the lockers, and they're free. You just beep it, and the locker opens up, and you put all your junk in it. You ride the ride, you come back out. So yeah, you need to use the locker for the Mummy, which is a good ride. You should totally ride that. I'm gonna talk about this is kind of funny. What is it called? Let me see the number. I apologize for my little delay. Oh, let's just talk about some more rides like in that area right when you walk in. The Despicable Me Minion ride. It's kind of fun. Many of the rides at Universal are like these sort of 3D glasses with a big movie screen, and you're like in this sort of car thing that moves around, but it doesn't really move. It's like a simulator, I guess. Many of the rides are like that. So just know that. If you're into those rides, you're going to be very happy. The Despicable Me one was pretty good. It was actually kind of fun. The Shrek ride we did not ride. The Transformers ride we rode, but I don't know anything about the Transformers, so I sort of like had no idea what was going on. I was like, is this a good guy? Is this a bad guy? And I couldn't really hear what they were saying, so I didn't know like the story of what was going on. I guess if you know the Transformers, you should totally ride that ride because it's probably pretty awesome. But if you don't, I would skip it. It was literally a waste, but whatever. Transformers, blah, 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 blah. Oh, so my daughter the whole time was like, we need to go on the Jimmy Fallon ride. And I'm like, I don't even like Jimmy Fallon that much. And like, Jimmy Fallon ride? Like, what do you do? You go on a talk show? Like, it made no sense to me. But she begged us to go, and we went. And I've been to 30 Rock because a long time ago I went to the Conan show back when he was on NBC. And like I know the building and the way it works, and I saw the NBC pages and all that stuff. This ride was just like that. Like they recreated 30 Rock in this ride, and it was amazing. Jimmy Fallon has like these like singer dudes, some kind of barbershop quartet. They were like there singing while you're waiting for the ride, and it was like a whole show, like a physical, like real human being show, like not like a projection. So that was super fun. I really enjoyed that ride. I mean, the actual like motion ride thing, the simulator part with the movie was like okay, but overall, great experience. So you should check out that ride. That actually was better than I expected it was going to be. Talked about the Mummers. Sorry, the Mummy. Blah, 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 blah. What else did we do? Fast and the Furious. We did not do Fast and the Furious. We just didn't have time for it. It's apparently pretty new. I imagine it's probably awesome, but we did not do it. So let's talk about what else we got. Fear Factor. We did not do that. We did the Men in Black ride. Skip it. It's kind of stupid. Actually, I mean, it's kind of cool in some ways, right? Like they give you these guns and you have to shoot these aliens, and you're sort of, you get a score and you're going against another car. That's kind of fun, but it just wasn't implemented kind of the way that I wanted. But one thing that was just amazing about Universal is that all of the rides are very immersive, and they're actually really well done. Like, I mean, even in the Men in Black ride, like, as you're like in line, you're passing by like real huge sets with like real, animatronic aliens and like sounds. And I really got to give it to Universal. That part was pretty amazing. Everywhere we went was super immersive. In some ways, better than Disney. And particularly, I'm going to talk about Harry Potter. Yes, definitely the Harry Potter part. So yeah, Men in Black ride. Let's talk about The Simpsons. The Simpsons park, if you're a Simpsons fan, you probably should go just for that. The Simpsons park is like pretty awesome. And the Springfield, the main ride there, I guess it's called the Simpsons ride, was really good. It was probably one of the top 3 rides of our whole trip. So that's totally worth doing. What else? We did not do much at the Woody Woodpecker's Kids Zone. We didn't do E.T. Adventure. We didn't do anything there. Blah, 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 blah. We did, oh no, that was at the other place. Okay, so let's talk about Harry Potter real quick. When you go into Diagon Alley, it is literally like you stepped into the book. I mean, down to the last detail, it is pretty incredible. And I'm not even like a giant Harry Potter fan. It was pretty incredible. What's also really neat is there's a lot of people, and I didn't notice this on the Friday because it was so packed, but on Saturday I noticed there's a lot of people walking around, like in character, that will like help you with things. And like if you talk to them and ask them a question, they will like answer, like, for instance, there's like this alley where all like the bad wizards go. I forget what it's called. And I was like, what's down there? And they're like, oh, we don't go down there. That's for bad wizards. And they sort of did it from the perspective of like they were living in this Diagon Alley. So it was like really kind of cool. So yeah, Diagon Alley is where you would buy your wand. So let's talk about the wand. First of all, Universal is making bank selling these wands. It's incredible. They're like $50 each, $52 if you want the interactive wand, and you do want an interactive wand if you're going to buy a wand. Spend the extra $2. And why do you need the interactive wand? Because your kid could wander around all of the Harry Potter areas, and there's certain spots where you can sort of do a spell and something magical will happen. And it's pretty cool. It was a little tough because you had to get the spell just right. But my daughter kind of got tired of it. After like 3 or 4 things, she's like, can we ride some rides now? So and you get a map, which tells you where all the things are. But unless your kid is really into it, I'm kind of 50-50 on whether we would ever buy a wand again. And we're not going to, because my daughter now has her wand. And that's that. If you do get the wand and you've never been there before, go do the wand experience, which is kind of like an interactive thing where, they choose one person out of the group and they actually, do the whole thing out of the book where they sort of find the right wand for them. And that actually was exceptionally well done. It was totally worth it. If you just want to buy a wand, stay out of that store completely. Like around the corner is like a little sort of wand stand where you can buy wands, and there's no crowd there. The wand store is packed, and every single person is holding like 2 wands. So that's $100 for, well, most families. We only bought 1, but most bought 2. It was like $100 for every single almost person in that store. They were making like thousands and thousands of dollars selling these wands. It was out of control. So the only big ride there at Diagon Alley is Gringotts Express. That ride actually on Friday, which was the crowded day, I noticed around 1:30 in the afternoon, it had a wait time of, it was like 2 or 3 hours. It might have even been more. It might have been 4 hours, which is like out of control. That was probably one of the best rides I've ever been on, but I would not wait 4 hours for it. I'm sorry, I would have been very upset. Along the way, when you're in line, there's like definitely like cool things. Like, I mean, there's paintings with like that come to life, just like in the book. I mean, it's just like in the book. It's kind of amazing. Even with the express pass, we waited like 40 something minutes. And at that point, like after the ride was over, I was like, that was totally worth 40 minutes. 4 hours, I would have been mad. But then again, if you wait for 4 hours for anything, like what experience could be worth waiting 4 hours for in a theme park? I don't know. But yeah, so if you're totally doing a Harry Potter, go do that ride first, because that's pretty much the most popular ride in the entire Universal experience. The second most popular Harry Potter ride, obviously, is the train. The train had like a 2-hour wait. But the train was actually pretty cool. My stepfather had just had something done on his hip. I think he had some kind of hip replacement, so he was in like a little scooter thing. So we didn't even know that. Like, we should have known this, but we didn't really know this until somebody came up and was like, "Oh, you don't have to wait in that line. Go that way." And we like got raced right up, and we saved like so much time. But the train, pretty immersive, pretty awesome. Totally worth taking the ride from Universal to Island of Adventure. Is there anything else in Universal that I have to tell you about? No. Let me just check my notes. Oh, one other thing. If you want lunch in the park, the Leaky Cauldron, which is a restaurant inside of Diagon Alley, was actually really cool. It seemed like a long wait, but their system was really good, and the food was actually not too bad, and the price was decent. We also had butter beer. You can get that almost anywhere. That is basically cream soda, but it was pretty good. So stay away from the $5 water. That's all I can say. All right. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to actually make this a 3-parter. Video number 3, we're going to talk about Islands of Adventure. And we're going to talk about just some other little tiny things to sum it all up. So stay tuned. I'll see you in just a moment.